Moderating our panel, we have Sara Lomax-Reese, and I don't want to try to speak for her because her bio is right there, which is very impressive. She is the president of WURD, who is our media sponsor for today's event, and they've been incredible. So I'd like to bring her up, and she will welcome the rest of our panelists. Sara, come on up.
Good afternoon. That was an amazing documentary, eh? Looking forward to unpacking all of that in just a minute. So first up is Ursula Rucker. So typically I don't read full bios, but because I don't think there's a printed kind of program, I'm going to read the full bio. So Ursula Rucker is a Philadelphia-born poet, mother, activist, and recording artist. She has been performing, recording, and releasing works for over 20 years. Ursula has traveled and toured extensively throughout North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and Africa, sharing her poetry, her heart and soul. She is dedicated to art as for social change and committed to freedom fighting, truth-telling, and peace and a little trouble, making through her chosen art form. Ursula believes in taking her art as far as it can go, whether it be through teaching, activism, lecturing, conducting workshops, merging it with music, and recording or rocking mics and stages. To date, Ursula has released 5 solo albums, as well as collaborated on over 100 songs in a wide array of musical genres with producers, artists from around the world, such as King Britt, Bahamadia, The Roots, Four Hero, Jazzanova, Louis Vega, and Incognito. Ursula was awarded both the Leeway Foundation's Art for Change and Transformation Awards. She is the feature of a documentary short called Poet in 2015. She successfully premiered her first one-woman show, 5 live memoir, My Father's Daughter, and is still touring with that. Most recently, Ursula is most proud of her Monument Lab piece, Logan Squared, an epic poetic ode to her beloved city, Philadelphia, as well as Voices of Kensington, the poetry series she curates through the Philadelphia Mural Arts Program, geared towards healing and giving voice to the Kensington community greatly affected by opioid addiction. But the latest shining feather in Ursula's cap is being named a 2018 Pew Fellow. Yay. Yeah. And currently, Ursula is working on her 6th solo album and planning her first book project, and always looking forward to making and sharing art with the people in as many ways as possible. Ursula Rucker. Next up is Tony TNT Jones. Are you here, Tony? And Tony is born in Philadelphia. Tony is a composer, producer, and bassist. He got the name TNT while touring with the legendary Sister Sledge as bassist and music director from 1985 to 1997. Tony has 2 CDs as a solo artist, Beyond a Dream and Istanbul Party, on CD, Baby, and website. Some of the artists Tony has played and recorded with are Nina Simone, Grover Washington Jr., Norman Connors, Gene Carn, and Michael Henderson, Angela Bofield, Eartha Kitt, Esther Phillips, Sister Sledge, Sonny Stitt, Taj Mahal, Buddy Guy, Ronnie Laws, I'm not saying them all, Billy Paul, Edwin Starr, Frida Payne, Martha Reeves. So welcome, Tony TNT Jones. Thank you. And last but certainly not least is Randall Grass. Where's Randall? Okay, here he comes. Randall Grass has been involved with music for more than 3 decades. As a musician, journalist, radio show host, and record company executive, as general manager and A&R head of Shanachie Entertainment, Shanachie Entertainment. He has worked with such artists as Rita Marley, Culture, Leela James, Angie Stone, Third World, Fela Kuti, the Scatolites, Sonny Fortune, Lucky Dubé, Ladysmith Black Mambazo, Bunny Wailer, Soweto Gospel Choir, and many others. As radio show host, he created and presented the Roots Rock Reggae and World Beat Dance Party shows on WXPN FM in Philadelphia from 1979 to 1991. As a journalist, he has written about music, especially reggae music, R&B, world music, and jazz for such publications as The Village Voice, Spin Magazine, The Beat, Musician, Downbeat, The Philadelphia Inquirer, and many more. He was also a contributor to the books Reggae International, The Rolling Stone Record Guide, The Alternative Papers, and Reggae, Rasta, and Revolution. His book, Great Spirits, Portraits of Life-Changing World Music Artists, published in 2009 by University Press of Mississippi, profiles such artists as Nina Simone, Fela Kuti, Sun Ra, Bob Marley, Augustus Pablo, and others. As a musician, he has performed with bands in America and Africa. He performs as keyboardist with the Philadelphia-based band Philly Gumbo, which mixes New Orleans R&B, reggae, funk, and blues. As a commentator or guest, he has appeared on NPR's Fresh Air, PBS's The McNeil-Lehrer Report, MTV's Liner Notes, CNN, and various regional radio and television outlets. He was a contributor to the nationally syndicated radio shows Artbeat and Crossroads. His wide-ranging musical sensibilities have been informed by his travel or sojourns in more than 30 countries in Europe, Africa, the Middle East, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Whew. All right, I'm exhausted. I'm done. So welcome, all of you. Does everybody have a mic? So I find three is the perfect number for a panel. I think this is great. So thank you, organizers. So I just want to get, I think everybody watched the film or maybe have seen it before. So I just want to see if we can get your general reflections, your general sense watching that film. What are your feelings that you have right off the bat? And I'll start with you, Ursula, since you're right next to me.
Thank you, Sara. Wow. Well, I came in late on the film, which I'm actually kind of glad about because it was super emotional. Pretty much had a tear-filled eyes the whole time. Yeah, so much resonates with me on so many levels, whether it be the fact that so many of us, artists or forward thinkers or freedom fighters or what have you, we could come up with all kinds of brand names, but the crux of it is that so many of us have been influenced and inspired continuously by the works and life of Nina Simone. I have a saying, I have a lot of people that I've added to Jesus, what would Jesus do? I have a whole host of others. And Nina is at the top of that list. What would Nina do in a time when, I'm having a difficult moment as an artist, as a mother, as a human being, as a woman, as a spirit on the planet who knows that I was placed here and that art was placed in my life for greater purpose than just entertainment. To have that feeling, to live that life, to live it hard, to live it real hardcore, like Nina style. It's not a life that's easily explainable. It's hard to talk about even with others who live the same kind of life. We're all kind of grappling for ways to justify and stay sane. So I felt all of that. It was like, okay, I'm watching a historical documentary about Nina Simone, but I'm also watching myself, seeing a lot of how I feel in those moments where you just don't think you're going to be able to, you can't do it anymore. That's it. And when you need help and you're afraid to ask for help because, pride is a mother. And or whatever, and just like, or when people have a certain ideal of you, right? So everybody's thinking about, it's Nina Simone, It's Queen Nina Simone. How could she ever be suffering in this way or having any kind of problems, or when she heals us and makes us feel better? Yes, like that.
So we're going to get into a lot of that over the course of this time, but I want to go to you, Tony. You played with Nina Simone, so were there things in the film that, is there anything that wasn't in the film that you could share with us that was, you know, your kind of up close and personal experience with her as a band member?
Yes, there's a few things that wasn't in the film that I remember. I met Nina Simone at a little bar that I was playing at. She had met a gentleman that I was playing with. It was a trio, Alfie Pilot, and he had met her like a few days before that. And she told him that she needed a bass player. She looked for a bass player and a drummer. So he said, well, I'm playing with some pretty good people. Why don't you come and check us out? And it was a place called the Hollywood Palace on 52nd and Walnut. And Nina came there. So to see Nina Simone walk in that place was incredible. It was really incredible. And she hired us right away. She hired me right away, me and the drummer, Eddie Jones. But Eddie, he was having some family problems, so he couldn't go on tour with her. So I called Lucky Thompson, and Lucky Thompson came out with us. And we worked with her for 2 years at that time as a trio. And I remember that she was living at the River Loft on 23rd and Walnut Street. And she invited me to come and practice with her. So I would come there with my bass, and she had acoustic piano there. And we practiced and worked on her material, you know. And I wound up being a person that used to get her food for her, soul food. She didn't know where to get the soul food. And I'm from Philadelphia, so I used to go down on South Street and pick up food for her every day. So we became very, very close right away, you know, very good friends, you know. And I was married at the time, you know, so fortunately my wife understood because she knew I was a musician and I did a lot of music all my life. So I remember Nina asked me to take her to the train. She had to go to Washington, D.C. So she said, can you watch my apartment for me? I said, sure, okay, I'll watch it for you. And so we went to the 30th Street station. She got on the train, and she didn't come back. So I was just there. And then she called me to go on tour, you know. One of the things I remember about Nina is that really struck me was she always spoke her mind. She was always true. Everything that came out of her mouth, she felt it, and she believed it. And watching this documentary for the second time, really brought tears to my eyes because I really saw a lot more things about her that I didn't know, you know. And she was just incredible person to work with. She taught me a whole lot. She would always change keys, you know, because she could do that, you know. It depends on how. I asked her, why you change keys all the time? She said, it depends on where my voice is that day. So, and she would give you no warning. She'd just start the song. And you have to, you know, you had that relative pitch or perfect pitch, and you have to be there. So, you know, so she kept me for 10 years, and till she passed away. And she inspired me so much that I wrote 2 songs for her. One song was called So Many Nights, Here Alone, because I knew that she was always alone after the concert. That was very true. She was just alone. She had people working around her, but she was a lonely person. You know, she didn't have a mate. You know, she always wanted love. She wanted a mate. She wanted to be married. So, but I wrote a song called So Many Nights, Here Alone, and another song called Back Home. And it's very Nina Simone-ish because I grew to know her style and knew how she felt, how she sang. And she loved the songs. She wasn't going to record them. But she got sick, and she passed away. So I remember her as being a role model, very strong person, strong woman, strong person. And she believed in what she believed in. And she believed in righteousness for everybody. You know, she wasn't just trying to hate people. She was hating what people did to each other. And that's what I admired about her the most.
Thank you for that. And Randall, you wrote Great Spirits, Portraits of Life-Changing World Music Artists, and I think Nina Simone is one of the people that you profile. So tell us, is there anything that wasn't in the film that you found doing your work, or just some reflections on how the film hit you?
Well, first of all, I came in, I've seen the film before, and came in at the point later in the film where she was adrift. Her marriage had gone down, and her husband was also her manager, which was a double whammy, and that's how I came to encounter her, because a friend of mine said she had been in his office and she was looking for a gig in Philly. She had no money, so was thinking of playing Dino's Lounge, which was a place on 46th and Walnut, I think. And that just seemed wrong to me, so I said, well, we should be able to get a better gig for it than that. And I knew the booker at Stars, which was a leading showcase club at the time, and I said, would she be interested? He said, yeah, here's her number. So I called her up. Of course, she didn't know who the heck I was. But when I said it'd be $3,000 for one show, which at that time was a lot of money, she was all in.
When was that?
That was in about 1979. She had returned to Philadelphia. Maybe that was around the time you encountered her? I don't know. Maybe, yeah. She returned to Philadelphia and was really adrift and had no money. And she'd had a long connection with Philadelphia. Her brother lived in Philadelphia, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so she said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And then as soon as I said, okay, I'll arrange it, she said, I'll need a limousine, I'll need champagne in the dressing room, I need such and such piano bench, I need this and that. I learned later that she felt in order to get respect from promoters, you had to lay down your demands and have certain requirements. So anyway, Stars went for it. And night of the show, it was packed. I arrived and I saw the booker outside. I said, how's it going? He said, well, it's packed, it's great, but Nina's not here. But she was only staying at 22nd and Walnut, so we had the limousine, no worries. But the comedian who was opening the show decided to tell racial jokes to an interracial audience who didn't want to hear it. And instead of handling it, he said, screw you, and walked off stage. Now there's no opening act, there's no Nina. And there's a full house of people who were well aware of her reputation at that point of sometimes not showing up, sometimes not doing shows. Well, after about 45 minutes, there's almost a riot ready to happen. And, there's no cell phones in those days. Then 15 minutes later, Nina sweeps in, goes directly to the piano, turns to the audience and bows, and she gets a standing ovation, which was pretty amazing. These people had been waiting for an hour, but here she was, and they're all with her. And then she sat at the piano and turned to them and looked at them and said, do you love me? And she really wanted to know. And this is a recurring theme that is touched on in the film. Her relationship with her audience was deeply important to her, and in positive and negative ways. Her sensitivity was so deep that she would go to venues sometimes hours before the show to suss out the vibes of the place. And when you saw in the film when she told someone in the audience to sit down, they probably wanted to go to the bathroom. She said, sit down. But for her, it wasn't just diva behavior. It's because what she did depended on this communication and relationship with the audience in the moment. And she would even say things like, oh, I like how you're letting me work into it. You're a good audience. I'm going to get there. So some people would have thought she was a diva. No, it wasn't just that. It was a little bit that. But it was the way that she functioned in a performance. And I think we could all say her performances, I saw her 3 times, they were all different. They were all very deep experiences because she could take any song and take it to a very deep place. It could be a folk song, it could be a pop song, it could be an R&B number, it could be anything. And she would take that song, even a song you think, why is she singing that song? And make you feel the deepest humanity out of it, or a deeply spiritual thing. And she could do that and take you to an elevated place. And when she was on, when it was a good show, she always did.
Thank you. So I just want to find out how the sound is. Does it sound okay, or is it loud, or it's loud, isn't it? Does it seem kind of loud? It's okay? Okay. Okay, so if you could just hold the mic a little further away. Thank you. Yeah. So just wanted to check in on that. So, you know, there was so much in the film about kind of her mental health and the struggles, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, just by the way. And this notion of being a tortured artist, and one of the things, you know, it chronicles so many hardships and so many heartbreaks that she experienced, and the abuse and all of those things. And so it made me wonder about this idea of nature versus nurture in terms of her experience with these challenges and emotional and challenges. And I just wanted to see if we could talk a little bit about how, you know, this racism can really, some have said that it's really like a mental health disorder. And, you know, like the effects of it can really just grind you down and mess you up. And when you know, so I want to start with you, Ursula. Can you, I'm not sure exactly what my question is, but I'm thinking about her experience and all the different things that she encountered that made her great and this incredible artist, but also just created torment. And some of it was external, and some of it was, you know, she had like bipolar. She was diagnosed with an actual disorder. But I just want to see if you can talk a little bit about that within the context of the kind of quote unquote tortured artist theme.
Okay, yeah, I know the tortured artist thing really well. It's frustrating. First of all, we played together, right? Did we play with Guthrie with Lucky?
Lucky, yeah.
Did we? Did you?
Look familiar, yeah. I played with a lot of people.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I played with a lot of people too. I'm like, hold up. But I know that I played with Lucky with Guthrie Ramsey. So anyway, here we are. I think it's a great juxtaposition. The people that are here, like I haven't ever met Nina, but I opened up for her. It was my first gig. It was my first like real, my first foray into kind of doing my own solo thing with a amazing guitarist here in the city, Tim Matzer. Anybody know Tim Matzer? He's amazing. At Tower Theater. And first, before I answer your question about mental health, which is pretty much my daily struggle, she could not know that I was her opening act, because she didn't really want to have an opening act, but they wanted to make people feel like they had, you know, spent their money on a ticket and got a little something. And I was just starting. I was terrified. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I opening up for Nina Simone? What is going on? But it was amazing. And I just, you know, kind of called us the concubines, me and Tim, because we weren't really, you know, we couldn't be known about. But it was like one of my most amazing moments, sitting out there and seeing her perform for the first time and feeling her energy and her spirit. But as I said, the film, I don't know if I'll ever watch the whole entire documentary now that I've seen the part that I've seen, because I couldn't stop just wanting to sob, because it's so relevant to my life. It resonates with me, in particular, the way that I live, the way I approach my art, the way that I approach art as a way of life, as a way of changing the planet and its people, in a way where we can someday be successful at this thing, you know, this living together thing, this honoring each other thing, this respecting each other thing, this loving each other, this being peaceful, this being understanding truly. Like I'm sick of the patterns. I'm sick of the fight. You know, just like Nina would get. It's hard to put into words other than thank God for the art. You know, thank God for the art, because when I can't do it this way, I always have that. And for me, it's an extra added blessing because it's strong enough. Well, it's been strong enough up until now to be that medicine for me, to be that healing for me. So I don't have to necessarily get a prescription for anything, but I'm always right there, you know? Getting therapy throughout the years and having different therapists say, hey, are you sure you don't want to try some? Nah, I'm like, nah, I'm good as long as I got some herbal medication and my poetry and whatnot, I'm cool. And just as much as the doing art, doing art, creating art for yourself, for your own progress, for your own wellness, and then taking it to the people and then doing it for maybe possibly all of our wellness it's a heavy burden, but it's an absolute blessing. So it's a crazy life. You know, it's a crazy life. And not being invited to places or being uninvited to places because of what you say and how you say it and how you do it, and people being afraid of that and you being frustrated about that, but not willing to ease up on that, which I'm never willing to ease up on that. So maybe I'm volunteering to suffer, but you know, when Nina Simone says about the freedom bit, actually I do feel a great sense of freedom, you know, with this life. Even though it's crazy and it's wild, it's really the place that I'm the most free. So it's just, but I'm constantly fending off insanity, just in case you wanted to know.
So hopefully this can be as much of a conversation as possible. So if either of you want to address any of these questions, even if I direct them to a singular person. But one of the things, and I'll throw this to you, Randall, and anybody can jump in. This today is Malcolm X's 94th birthday. Today is Malcolm X's 94th birthday. 95th? Is somebody? Did I get the number wrong? Oh, you just say, okay, right on. Okay. Yes, today is Malcolm X's 94th birthday. And we saw in the film that Nina Simone, she resonated powerfully with kind of this more, a violence-oriented, more of a direct confrontation orientation during her activist days. And her daughter described her as a revolutionary, as like a real revolutionary. And we know that her music was very much like a pivotal part of the civil rights movement. And I want to see if you could speak to kind of just her role as activist and artist, and what kind of legacy she has created for this, future generations around that kind of activism using art.
Okay, that's a big question. There's several dimensions to it, I think. One is the music, obviously. And songs like Mississippi Goddamn, which to record that record in 1964, was a revolutionary act for sure, because it was a very unfiltered, direct expression of anger, outrage, and pain that was totally appropriate to. It was a reaction to the church bombing in Mississippi, where 4 African-American little girls were killed, and it was that was very Nina. That was her authentic reaction, was Mississippi Goddamn. And of course, as she says, when that record was released, boxes of records came back from the South broken in half, and that definitely marked her. To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, that song co-written with Lorraine Hansberry, which was, she was a close friend, Lorraine Hansberry, and during her time in New York, Nina very much moved in the circles of people who were at the center of the civil rights movement. When Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, the first time I saw her was at JFK Stadium, and it was a few months after the assassination, and her bass player had written, was that you, by the way? No, you didn't. You weren't with her then. Okay. Why is the King of Love Dead? Which he wrote the day after the assassination. And she performed that. It's hard to describe the effect on the crowd. I mean, there were, I don't know, 20,000 people in JFK Stadium. You could hear a pin drop. And again, the most authentic, cut to the bone reaction to that event. So there's the music on that level. Then there's the music as inspiration. As you know, many people that I've encountered who were active in the civil rights movement said, hey, Nina's music kept us going. You know, it was an inspiration. Then there was her putting her own self on the line. In many ways, she was down there with the concert. She was down in the demonstrations, and she has said, I felt like, you know, I was putting my life on the line, and that was a fact. So that was an overt activist act. Also, the second time I saw her was in 71, I think, 71. It was a concert at Duke University organized by the Black Student Union. And it really was for them. You know, it was not meant to be a concert as part of the university concert series. It was meant to be more than a concert, and Nina treated it that way. The general public was allowed to sit in certain parts of the theaters. I was there. And Nina, a good part of what she was doing was not just music, but declaiming and talking about the struggle directly to these young people and saying, you got to move, you got to take action, you cannot stand for what's going on. So there was a very personal, direct statement made by her on many occasions. And as she noted, it did harm her career. Certain people wouldn't book her for certain periods of time. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And I think just like a fact check, I think it was the bombing was in Alabama, not in Mississippi.
I thought it was
Birmingham,
oh,
Alabama.
You're right.
Yes,
You're right.
Thank you, people. Thank you for helping me out. But I think the first couple of lines are Alabama's got me so upset.
You're right.
Yeah. So, but it is Mississippi, goddamn, that everybody remembers. So I get it. So, so thank you. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. You want to add?
Just wanted
Just one thing. Just hold your
go
mic a little bit further down. Yeah.
Okay, it's just responding to your first question you asked the young lady here. I knew Nina. First of all, I met her. Like I said, I met her, and I worked with her as a trio, then a duet, just me and her, and then with her whole band until I was the last 10 years of her life. That's when I was with Nina. Okay.
The last 10 years
of her life, yes. And I really got to know her very well because I, was always on the road with her, and we always talked. And she treated me like I was a brother or a son, And I played with her with her brother. He played with us a few times. Her daughter opened up for us at the Vatican Theater in London, and then she did something with us in Chicago, duet with Nina. And but only the way I'd never seen Nina as a person that was bipolar or anything like that. She was a drinker. So she was the most intelligent person that I ever known, seriously. She knew everything. I was like, well, she never has a newspaper. How does she know all this stuff? She knew what was happening exactly when it was happening. I don't know how, she's looking at TV, the news, or I don't know. But she would be so intelligent. We'd sit down sometime and we'd have lunch or something like that. And she would be, or dinner, mostly at dinner time. That's when she would drink more at night. And she would be this brilliant, intelligent person. And as she drank, and the more she drank, when she get drunk, her whole personality would change. That's how I knew her. I didn't know her as, some kind of bipolar or split personality. I knew her as a person that when she drank, her attitude changed. Everything changed. She was like a different person. Okay, so that's the Nina that I knew personally. She taught me so much, and I really didn't, when Martin Luther King got assassinated, I was very small, very young. And I remember seeing that, you know, and now being a part of that whole movement with Nina, it made me open my eyes, because I was playing R&B and jazz and with different those type of artists, but Nina was something totally different. She did every type of music, genre of music you could think of, on a very high level, but she also put that reality of life in it, the real reality of life. You know, not just about love or I love you, baby, and all, but everything was what she gave the audience, and she gave the audience everything every time. She put her whole soul into her show. You know, so that's the Nina that I know.
And that has to take a toll on you, you know, on your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual well-being.
And that's when she was most happiest too, on stage.
When she was on stage.
As soon as she came off stage, right in the dressing room, she was sad because she was alone. She didn't have no husband. She didn't have no, partner. You know, she had no one she could be with like that. You know, just share that kind of lifestyle with. And it was very sad. That's what inspired me to write that song. You know, because it really came from the heart of what I saw her go through.
Well, I want to stay on this art and activism theme, because Ursula, that is what you live. For sure. And one of the things that she said in the film was, how can you be an artist and not reflect the times? And as somebody who is, you know, an artist right now in this Trump era, in this like really difficult political moment, do you feel like there is that same kind of, like what she was describing was the Black Arts movement, where there were actors and artists and poets and singers, and there was a real community that was mobilizing around this civil rights moment and movement. Do you feel like there is something similar happening now? And just describe this moment and her legacy from your standpoint.
That's a lot, Sarah. No, but it's good. It's good. We could be here all day. How much time do we have? So many things. So many things. Oh, you must have been in the band when I opened up, but you ain't see me though, because nobody knew I was there. But it's whatever. You were probably.
I probably was in the dressing room with Nina.
Right. Yeah, but you know, I was out of that area by that time because I wasn't allowed to be. I'm trying to make a joke. It's not going over well. But anyway, you must have been there. So, yeah, I think to echo a little bit, to echo a little bit off of what you were saying. Yeah, because this mic is not, I'm doing all the right things and it's still not. Hello? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. I think I've heard that Nina, this happened with her historically, and also Nikki Giovanni and some other people, many black women, that whenever they would come near machinery and all the technical things, it wouldn't work. I'm just saying, I might have some kind of electrical, ancient Kemetic electrical power type situation going on. Why not? But yeah, the whole bipolar thing, I was thinking about that as I was watching the film. And I'm like, wow, you know, not to discount, I mean, mental health is a real thing. Some diagnoses are a real thing. And let's be honest, some aren't. Some are like life, you know, art and activism. If you're living a life of art and activism and you're balancing it with, you know, your regular everyday thing that you do, raising children, trying to pay the bills, trying to stay sane out here and appear somewhat normal, whatever that is, just to kind of like, you know, do it every day. It feels probably something quite similar to bipolar. I'm sure if I went in and got an official diagnosis, they would tell me I was something or a host of things, but I'm not doing it because I'm maintaining. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm maintaining some stuff. Like it's a juggling. It's a, you know. And I remember hearing Mama Sonia Sanchez talk about her sons, and see, I probably shouldn't have got into this because it's tugs at my heart. What her life, how it has affected, her sons as they grew up, and just raising children, and you're doing your thing and you're fighting the good fight, and you're trying to do everything at once, and then you look back and you're like, oh, everybody was doing it. Everybody in the family had to do it because I was doing it, and they were coming with me, or they were possibly suffering the effects, as well as reaping the benefits, because there are great benefits to the life. You get to do amazing things, sit on a panel with people who roll with Nina Simone. I'm feeling pretty good right now, But the struggle it's hard on everybody.
So I was going to get to kind of motherhood and
I'm ahead
and
of
that
myself.
piece.
Okay.
Well, no, you're right on time. But I did want you to speak to kind of this moment right now, this Trump era as an artist, and is there a community that you are riding with that you feel is, similar or in its own era, what the Black Arts Movement, is there anything like that now, where the artists and entertainers and poets are mobilizing to have an impact on this moment?
Okay, let me say this. I'm not quite sure because the Black Arts Movement is definitely one of my greatest inspirations, and constantly, if I'm getting, I have some key ones, and that's definitely, one since the very beginning, Amiri Baraka and all of them. I definitely have a good, we have a good core of beings here. In Philadelphia, we're pretty special, in case you didn't know it. We're super special on a grand scale. Germantown is extra super special.
Right, Germantown.
Yeah, Germantown, I could go on forever and ever, but yeah, it's a magical current. So yes, the people, the beings, the spirit, the soul, the heart, they're there. As far as like gathering everybody into a movement type situation that could be likened to the Black Arts Movement, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that, but the people are there, if that makes any sense. The possibility is there, but yeah.
I think, building on that, I think there's energy that's been happening and building in the last few years in the African American community from different segments that hasn't quite coalesced in structures that much, but could at any moment and probably will.
Yeah, and it won't be well, this isn't my estimation. Well, I don't think I don't know. This is like it's a slippery slope, because, those of us who fight for our blackness, for our importantness, for our mattering and our contributions. Can we get a little credit out here? It's hard, but yeah, so we can still have, and I think those gatherings and those factions are still super important, because we have to hold each other up. But I think the human arts movement will be the thing that we really need right about now. Sonia Sanchez taught me, and I didn't want to learn the lesson. And I say this, some people who've heard me talk before me, but I want to share it with you. I didn't want to learn this lesson of humanity, of putting a good dose of humanity and respect for humanity and peace into your fight, that you can still fight and be, pretty badass while you're fighting, but yeah, have some peace and humanity, mix everything together and approach it like that. So this is what I've learned. When I first learned about the Black Arts Movement, I was like, nobody else is allowed. Nobody else is invited. Let's do this. So I was like, and I'm still like, but I'm like, let's all do it. Okay, we need all the help we can get, and everybody needs to do this. And And it's real. It's not corny. This ain't no, listen, the kids are here. It's hard for me not to cuss, but this ain't no, we could put all kinds of words in there. There's ones that are my favorites that I won't. But yeah, we are all ages, all backgrounds, all religion, all economical situations, okay? Do not let any of that stop you from looking at each other, okay, with kindness and peace and generosity and honesty, so we can do this, or else keep complaining about it. All right? Be about the solution or support the problem.
All right.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
I feel a poem coming.
It's just in the carrying the torch, okay?
Yes.
However dim the light or bright the light, I proudly and sometimes difficultly and with challenge, but with joy also carry that torch that Nina Simone carried for me to be able to do this, for me to be able to more easily, still hard, but more easily do this. Still lose some gigs here and there, but not as many, because Nina fought for me.
So let me go to Tony. He wants to get in here.
All right.
Tony,
That's
I'm
all right.
excited.
Yeah, no, everything you said was right. That's good. Just embellishing a little bit more on what you were saying. My experience with Nina personally, and then watching the film again for the second time, I got a lot more than when I watched it when it first came out. I saw it on Netflix. And it touched me, but it touched me in another way this time. Nina went full circle. She started out as a little girl that just wanted to play music. And that's all she wanted. She wanted to be a classical pianist. That was her soul. That's what she felt. That's the gift that she felt God gave her. And she was good at it. And she got teachers. People saw and inspired her to go after her goal. And then she got distorted because she woke up to the reality of life, where she was, the country she was in, and the world that she was in. So it changed her, especially when she was not allowed to go to the school to become the first black classical pianist. When that was denied her, that changed her. So she kept evolving. And then Martin Luther King got assassinated. And he was a man about peace and love for everyone, not just blacks, everybody, the world. So that changed her and made her militant. And a lot of people took to that militant side of her. But you got to understand, she was still evolving and still learning and growing. And I caught her at the other side of it, when she had more white friends than she had black friends. Really. Okay? But she was still saying the same things about black people being discriminated against and all that. But her friends were mostly white. So she grew, and she showed me something. She showed all of us something, that we go through changes. When we're first born, we're not born with no hate or nothing. We're just born. You could put a black child and a white child and an Asian child together, and they'll just play and be happy. And we should learn from that. That's what Nina was really about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure, Randall, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can build on what you're saying, I think a lot of what this film shows and a lot of Nina's life was, nobody should be put in a box, but she, more than anybody, did not fit in any box. But most of her life was struggling to break out of the box or not be confined. Growing up, a black girl in the South during apartheid, studying classical piano right away. She's not supposed to do that, according to a lot of people, but she did that. Her activism later, not supposed to do that. She was marketed as a jazz artist in the beginning. She didn't like that. She rejected the term jazz artist. She called herself a folk artist more often than that. as a woman and an artist, which role did she have to fulfill? She was supposed to be a mother, quote unquote, but her artistic life made that hard to fulfill. Lisa talks about that a lot. And her own experience with her own mother, who was a preacher, but also traveling a lot to different churches, the void was filled by her white piano teacher, who she called her white mother. So even at that fundamental level, trying to find her place in the family and have a definition of where love would come from. So I think what you say about evolution is really true, and it's all part of her trying to be her when the world wanted to define her in different ways. Even people want to put it about black activists. Well, no, she was a black activist, but she was so much more than that, as you just pointed out.
So I want to talk about money for a second, because in the film there were some interesting things. I wrote down Nina Inc. because it seemed like she was at moments it almost seemed like she was being exploited, whether it was her husband. She kept feeling like he was pushing her to work all the time and wasn't really mindful of her her mental and physical well-being. And then at the end it seemed like they were saying, you got to take this medication so you can perform, and if you don't take this, you're not going to be able to perform. And we know that a lot of artists, particularly black artists, have struggled with taxes, with money, with all of that. And I just want to see if we can look contemporarily and just talk about how money needs to be approached, and I'll start with you, Tony. How did she, because you were with her the last 10 years of her life, how was she doing financially? Because that can create an enormous amount of stress and strain on any person, particularly artists.
Well, the first part of that, I say with the first 3 or 4 years that I was with her for that 10-year period, she was doing very bad financially, very bad. She wasn't getting a lot of work, and when she got work, she was underpaid. Because I know what I was getting. So she was underpaid. She used to complain about it, but she had to work. She had to survive. She had to live. She had to keep going. So the money was really bad. I remember when she moved to Montreal, and I was playing there. I played there. I stayed there for a year. I was in a house band, and I played with a lot of great people there. And I got there by Nina, because we did Place des Arts, and the promoter had a club, and he asked me to stay and play there. And then Nina came there and lived there, and she was really struggling. She didn't have the money to pay for her rent and stuff like that, and it was just really hard times for her. So, but later on, people started accepting her again. And like you're saying, the medication. She was a drinker, so the medication wouldn't have worked anyway. When you drink, I'm a heart transplant patient. If I can't drink. If I drink alcohol, I'm gonna die. Okay, so I know that when you drink, medication don't mean nothing. So she was still being Nina. That's the Nina that I saw. Well, and later on, she became very, very, very big again, and promoters brought her over to Europe. And that's when she really exploded. So
at the end of her life,
but in America, she couldn't work. They would pay her very little money. She couldn't work, and America really treated her really hard in the beginning when I started working.
I know early in her career, they said that she sold the royalties to one of her songs for like $3,000, and it was valued at like over $1 million, like down the road, And that we hear that story all the time, particularly with black artists. So I don't know if either of you.
Oh my God, I'm squirming in my seat right now. I'm dying on the inside, just even thinking about the truth of this and how much I want to share with a bunch of people I don't know. Oh man. Just to hear and know that someone like Nina Simone, after doing everything that she did, artistically, if it was just that, it was enough. okay? If we're just talking about artistically, it was enough. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then she took it way further than that to help us, to be a savior for us, to be a mouthpiece for us, to be a force for us, to risk everything for us.
She said what everybody was on everybody's mind. She spoke
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
She spoke it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it well. It's like, woo, the money is something that, I want to share with everyone before I finish a haiku that I wrote yesterday. Because I have, from being a daughter and student of Sonia Sanchez, a master of haiku, I have welcomed it into my life as a meditation. I would offer it to everyone. You should give it a try if you're feeling a certain type of way and you don't really have anything else that's helping. Try a little haiku writing. You know, just kind of like a medley of haiku, and you might like it. Anyway. Oh, money, you might be my most complicated enemy and friend. You feel me? I'm just like, I hate you, I need you. I hate you, I need you. Oh, you know, it's just like, and this lifestyle is like, oh my, I don't know how to, sometimes I want to tell people, sometimes I don't want to tell people anything. Sometimes we want to protect our private information. Sometimes we want to share it so we can just get rid of it. You know, because and money is one of them. Money, this relationship between art and money. And then if you really do some work with your art that's energetic, work for the people, by the people, wow, the whole money thing is, you never know where it's I need you to know how difficult and how wild and crazy this life is, where you don't have a conventional job that you go to every day, that you don't know when you're going to get your paycheck. You volunteer for it, so okay, don't cry for me, Argentina, I know, okay? But it's just that it's made hard for us. You understand, we're working and we're plugging away and we're doing I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, and sometimes I get the big paycheck, but when I don't get the big paycheck, it's like 2 years from when I got the last big paycheck, and I'm like, oh my God, how have I been surviving for 2 years since the last big pay? And then I'm like, it messes with my head because I don't want it to be all about the big paycheck, because why I do this is not for the money. Trust me, it's not for the money. If it was for the money, I'd be doing pop songs and stuff. I'm a good writer. I can write some pop songs, you know, and just not think about anything and just be blissfully ignorant. But yeah, I can't do it. So the money thing, oh my goodness, it's torturous. And then as artists, like you said, the tortured artists, a lot of times we invite that torture. You know what I'm saying? We volunteer for the torture.
Does anyone else want to speak to the money piece?
Well, I see this from many sides because I play music, I've written as an artist, and I'm also working for a record company. I've worked with many great artists, and I've seen the suffering. I've seen, you know, it's very complex. I mean, the moment you attach money to art, it's going to be a conflict, because art you can't quantify in material terms, really, but yet you got to live. And you put out a piece of art, and a lot of people might say, oh yeah, wow, yeah, I want to support that. And another time you might put it out and you get no support, no reaction. But maybe 10 years from now, people say, oh, that was great. You know, there is no predictability to it. And so it's always going to be a struggle. There's always going to be suffering, because it's two different realms completely. And the best hope for any artist is to hopefully have somebody or some organization who knows who they are as an artist and can envision ways that can work commercially and to help them do that. But that's pretty hard to find.
But wait.
And I agree, but I would just like to say that as an artist, if you're an artist, you should do it not for the money, because you're not going to get your best work. I know that for a fact, because I've done it. Most people that write only to make money, the song will be a hit. If it becomes a hit, they got the machine behind them, it only lasts 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then that's it. You never hear it again. People don't want to hear it no more. But Nina's work, it lasts forever, because that was done without the intent of making money.
So I was given the 5-minute warning probably 5 minutes ago, but I do want to ask one more question. Sorry, Brendan, and it's really for you, Ursula, because I think that this whole issue that we see Nina Simone wrestling with in the film, and just if anybody who's watching her life, is this kind of race and gender conundrum, this challenge, this mother, this working mother, this, all of these things. So she's this multi-talented woman. She's a concert pianist. She's a jazz. She's all of these things. But she is this dark-skinned black woman who is raised in a racist, segregated 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and she, so she is struggling against so many different things. And I just want to see if you can speak to the uniqueness, the particular challenges and struggles of being a black woman artist who is also a mother and partner, and all of these things that have to add up and not completely destroy you.
Okay, Sara Lomax, please have a panel just on this so we can just talk about this, okay? I'm going to try. I don't know how to answer your question in 5 minutes. But, wow, it's so much. I feel every single last bit of it, and then I probably, there's some stuff in there that I'm still feeling, and I'm not sure where it's coming from because it's ancestral. It's just the legacy. It's the history. It's the actual doing of it happening now. What is happening? I mean, just women, period, right? We're yo.
What is it? Alabama's got me so upset.
Wait.
They just like.
Are you going to sit
crazy
here? No, listen. There's stuff you can do. Okay, don't think that there's not. There's stuff you can do. There's stuff you don't just sit there and hashtag and tweet and whatever. Show the hell up, front and center. The clock. Okay, it's going. Look. You saw sci-fi, you ever watched Twilight Zone? We're living it. We are in the Twilight Zone, okay? All right? I invite everyone. Everyone. Men, women, they, them. I love everybody. I'm learning all the time. I respect hey, teach me. I want to learn, okay? And we need everybody's help right now. So that's what I want to say first. And the fight has always been a fight. It's a fight now. If you're black and you're a woman, let's not trip. Don't tell me it's not a real thing. I don't want to hear you tell me that it's not a real fight and a real struggle, because it is if you're black and you're a woman in America, on the planet, really. And then if you're an artist within that, if you're an artist that wants to speak up about stuff, okay, there's an extra added layer. Oh, I also have 4 sons, by the way. No, I also have 4 sons, by the way. I'm telling you, raising 4 black men in America in a city called Philadelphia. As much as I love my city, nobody loves my city like I do. It's probably one of the roughest cities in America. So, we know that when we grow up here and worrying about my sons every day and still trying to do this, Sara, you have.
I got 3
okay.
sons.
Yeah. It's doing what you do. Hey, next time I'll be the moderator and I'll ask you the questions.
So I swear, Brendan, this is it. This is my last question, and it's quick. Favorite Nina Simone song? Randall. I'll start. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. That is my all-time favorite. So I bought you some time.
Probably the first one I heard, which was "My Baby Just Cares for Me."
All right. Tony.
Oh boy, this hard. I loves you, Porky.
I Loves You, Porgy. The only one that made like the top 40. Only one of her songs that hit the top 40.
I had to sing that in a yo. Somebody said, "Hey, in a dance." I'm like, "Why are you asking me to sing, Nina? Come on, stop." It was hard. It was hard to even just be able to do it. It was crazy.
Favorite Nina song?
Yeah, what I would sing with my sons every morning. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Yes. What's my favorite line? Sleep in peace when day is done. Right? Don't you want that? That's what I want. That's it. Sleep in peace when day is done. That's it.
Amen. So just definitely want to thank our panel. Amazing panel. Ursula Rucker, Tony TNT Jones, and Randall Grass. Thank you all for coming.